Hello, my name is Amos Tarfa, and in this video I want to talk briefly about my background and what I've been up to over the last 12 years. This video is supposed to act as an opportunity for you to get to know the author of the Counting to Calculus curriculum framework. I have a separate video where I'm going to talk about what is the Counting to Calculus curriculum framework. What is that framework, right? A framework is different from a curriculum. A framework is sort of the thing that governs what curriculums get to be written, and then what textbooks get to be written under those curriculum companies, right? So for example, a framework might be something that a country uses to govern how math is taught in that country. Then companies, private companies might decide we want to write curriculums to meet the demands of that framework. And then they basically write curriculum, which is then sold to schools. You started with the framework from the country's expectations. Companies wrote certain curriculum and textbooks, and those were delivered by teachers. By God's grace, I've written the framework to govern American math and science curriculum. Not a curriculum alone, but a framework. And within that framework, I've also written some curriculum. But the framework video is coming soon. You can watch that on my YouTube channel called Counting to Calculus. So, who is Amos Tarfa? I was born in Nigeria, I was born in the Northeast in Adamawa State in Yola, and then I grew up in Lagos, Nigeria, went to Air Force Primary School, Victoria Island, Lagos, and then I went to Federal Government College, Lagos. I was the head boy at Lagos, or the senior prefect, and I thank God for that opportunity. While I was at Federal Government College, Lagos, I was a science student, and I actually was the president of the Junior Engineers, Technologists, and Scientists Club as well. So I've always loved science and math, and I did that when I was in elementary school. At Air Force Primary School. I was in science club. And what happened is I came to America to get my bachelor's degree in chemistry. Before that, I actually wrote a book called Achieving Excellence as a Young Person. I wrote it with the goal of inspiring young people in Nigeria to become who God made them to be. I told them to avoid exam malpractice. I told them to focus on things that matter. And so my first book was written in 2006. And part of why I told you I was the head boy is because there were stories from my days as the head boy that inspired the book. Called Achieving Excellence as a Young Person. Since then, I've written 4 other books, and I'll talk about that later on. So I came to America in 2007, partly because the U.S. Embassy Education Advising Center gave me that opportunity to know about all these schools. So thank you, Dr. Obaka, thank you, Auntie Shade, and all those who helped me in the process. So I came to America in 2007, pre-med chemistry. I was going to become a pediatrician like Dr. Ben Carson. That was my dream. I wanted to be like Ben Carson. I wanted to inspire kids. Be their doctor, but also inspire them. So like be a doctor by day, and then after school, go to schools and give talks. Dr. Carson wrote a book called Gifted Hands and then Think Big. So I was thinking about Dr. Ben Carson as an inspiration. So I did that, and then came into, that was the goal. I was going to do that, but I didn't become a doctor. Instead, I became a teacher. And the story of that is basically this. Let's take a few seconds to explain this. Basically, when I was a junior in college, I took a philosophy of science course. And it was during that time I got to learn more formal philosophy and philosophy of science. And I was like, I want to focus on the mind, not just people's health. And that was when I moved away from wanting to become a doctor to becoming a Christian apologist. So I was going to get a PhD in science, like a science field like biochemistry or in philosophy, and then become a Christian apologist. While preparing to start my PhD in biochemistry at Baylor University in Texas, that was my goal in 2011, I got a job opportunity. I spoke at a chapel at a school, and then I got a job opportunity teaching, and I decided to take that opportunity to teach math. It was during this time teaching math at a private Christian school that I realized that American math and science curriculum is broken and it needs to be fixed. And by God's grace, I dedicated many years, about 12 years of my life, trying to fix that. And now I believe we have a comprehensive framework, and we have some curriculum recommendations, which you can see in my video called What is the Counting to Calculus Curriculum Framework? I taught for 2 years, from 2011 to 2013 at this private school. And then I actually decided to work with homeschool families while I was working on the curriculum that I was working on, which is now what we call Counting to Calculus. the curriculum framework, sorry. So I was working on that back in 2013. So I started teaching homeschool families. I started homeschool hybrid options and co-op ideas where people would come once a week and I'll teach and then and give them sort of a bigger vision of what they're learning. And then they go home and they work and then they come back a week later. So I did that from about 2013 to 2016. Then I became full-time in medical physics as a medical physicist assistant, which is basically someone who focuses on x-rays, sound waves, ultrasound, make sure that they're working in the right proportion. And there'll be a different video called What is a Medical Physicist? And you can watch that to learn more about medical physics. Medical physics is a great field. It's a great field, especially if you're looking for some flexibility and a different scenario every day at work. Medical physicists can be working at a hospital one day and then it's a clinic another day and on and on. So I did a lot of that work as a medical physicist assistant while I was getting my master's. So I got my master's in medical physics, a master's in medical health physics as well, graduated in 2020. And then I've been basically a medical physicist on and off since then. Now I'm a full-time medical physicist. That's a little bit of my background, right? So basically I grew up in Nigeria, came to America, I got my degree in chemistry, a minor in philosophy. I taught at a private school. I've helped homeschoolers. I've helped hundreds of students on their ACT and SAT preparation. I've helped students applying to colleges, and I've done a lot of things in education in the K-12 space. I have also taught at the university level, remedial math, algebra 1, or intermediate algebra and college algebra. So I've taught at the college level also. My long-term goals, where do I want to see things down the road? Well, by God's grace, I want to raise the next generation of scientists, mathematicians, and thinkers who also know the history and philosophy of science, logic, and theology. I want to raise the next generation of Newtons and Eulers and Maxwells and top thinkers. And I don't want them to just be good at math and science. I also want them to love truth. I want them to also study the Bible. I want them to study philosophy. I want them to study, truth and then share that with the world. You think of Professor John Lennox from Oxford University. I want to raise more scientists to become like Dr. John Lennox, who know math and science, but also love Jesus. Let me know if you have any questions. That's a little bit about my background. I love Jesus and I love sharing the truth from his word and from the word. I'm preparing to launch a Christian apologetics course for middle school and high schoolers. And so basically there's a 7-year plan to help 6th graders through 12th graders to learn about Christian apologetics, science and faith. How do you handle the problem of evil, questions about atheism and theism and agnosticism, philosophy of religion. It's just this opportunity to bring young people together to think about the things that matter. There's a lot more I could share, but I'll leave you with this a little bit of the samples of my book, Counting to Calculus. This is the workbook that goes with the curriculum. Some of these are sample copies. You'll notice a pattern. It starts from sketching a rocket, and then you get the pieces ready, and then you get the rocket to be to launch, and then you can launch in to see the universe that God has created. Now, I am not saying people should go to Mars. That's not what I'm saying. And by the way, even if you don't use my curriculum guide, this is for the curriculum itself. So there's a framework. This is for the curriculum. You could just buy my journal that basically gives you a place to write. You have a graph paper, and on the other side, you have a place to write. And then you have like a quote to inspire you daily as you do math. Every one of these curriculum comes with reference books. So there will be a longer video showing all of this, but the reference section is at the back of the curriculum, like properties of exponents, properties of real numbers. Basically, the curriculum, these curriculum come with, at the back of the book, all the resources you need to be an exceptional math student. I look forward to working with your school or your family or your community to raise the bar in math and science, and also, as I said, just to share the things that I've been blessed with. So I thank God for all the opportunities I've received. I'm based in Texas now, in the East Texas region, Tyler, Texas, and I hope to provide training for the next generation of top scientists. Take care, God bless, and email, if you have any questions, you can email AmosTheMathGuy@gmail.com, or you could go to AmosTheMathGuy.com. Amos@AmosTheMathGuy.com is my other email. So AmosTheMathGuy.com is the website, and then Amos@AmosTheMathGuy.com is the email. Thank you. And I do have the other email, AmosTheMathGuy@gmail.com, which you can send an email to. Take care. I look forward to seeing you all at some point, seeing some of you at some point. I have a Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, Twitter, where I'll be posting regularly. Take care and God bless.